Hello and welcome to Peggy's Plants, coming to you from Central Florida with an international plant haul from Greenspaces.id. Hi, thank you for joining me today. I'm Peggy of Peggy's Plants. Today I'd like to share with you a plant mail collaboration with Greenspaces.id. They offered me the opportunity to collaborate with them, choosing 3 plants from their website, and they chose an additional 3 and sent them to me so that I could share them with you and show you a little of what they have to offer. If you're someone who's been interested in possibly buying plants internationally, but you're a little unsure about the process, I will link a video that shows you step by step what to do and also gives you some hints to ensure as much as possible the success of your transaction. So with that said, let's get into the box. Greenspaces.id is a plant seller in Indonesia. I have collaborated with them in the past, and I have also purchased from them several times. Why would someone import plants all the way from Indonesia when there's perfectly good plants here in the U.S.? Well, they specialize in plants that are considered rare or hard to find, and the price is much less than those that you would find these plants for here in the States. I will try to give you some indication of what the plants cost here at the time of this unboxing, as well as what they cost on the Greenspaces.id site. So now that we're in here, as you can see, it's very well packed. What I just pulled out, the white fluffy stuff, is batting. That's so that the plants do not move around or get damaged. And they are individually wrapped in paper. Starting off with plant number 1, I'm very excited about this plant. This is one they picked for me, but one that I wanted very much is a Scindapsus snake scale. It's a shingling plant. I do love shingling plants, and it's just crazy that they picked this one for me because I was so tempted to get it, and I ended up picking some other plants instead. This is taking way too long. Okay, I kind of cut some parts out there so you wouldn't have to suffer through that. And here we are. This is a Scindapsus snake scale, and it is in beautiful condition. These plants, once they hit the States, I believe were in the Postal Service system for about 3 days, I think. And as you can see, this one traveled very well. It's on a bed of sphagnum moss. I soaked it on there for 2 days. And then I went on and potted it up in a chunky aroid mix and added a moss pole. This plant on Greenspaces sells for $14. Here in the States, we're paying $27 around there for a 1-node cutting. And it's kind of hard to find. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about in terms of price difference. I would definitely add one of these to a shipment, bigger shipment of plants, but I would not try and import just a $14 plant. It wouldn't be cost effective. Now, this is a plant that I selected. It's the Monstera Adansonii Yellow Variegata. It presently sells on Greenspaces.id for $56. And here in the U.S. right now, we are paying that price for a rooted leaf cutting. I'm talking 1 rooted leaf. Now earlier I said I wouldn't necessarily recommend just buying a $14 plant and planning on having that imported because there are shipping fees and stuff. So you want to get several plants so that it averages out and you get, all of your plants for basically a much better deal than you can get them for here stateside. And here this plant is. It's small, but it has 3 leaves. It's been in the mail a few days. This can be a finicky plant. I mean, just the Adansonii period. But as you can see on this leaf, the variegation, it's the yellow variegation, so don't expect the white. This leaf, of course, is going to have to come off. It's not going to go green again. It's dead. It's on its way out. And here's a look at the roots. I'm a firm believer that you don't know what you're working with until you've seen the roots on a plant. I don't care if you're buying it from Big Box or wherever, but yeah, it does have some roots. I don't think I'm in danger of losing this plant, but I would like to see a lot better root system. Look at the variegation. Remember, it's the yellow and green. A cute little plant, but definitely want to develop those roots. Here you see the leaves are sitting up on their own. This plant has been soaking for about 12 hours now. I'm going to leave it in here for days. I'll probably put it in some leca and just wait until this root system becomes more developed in order to pot this plant up. It's always best to take your time with imported plants when you get them. They've been in a dark box for a while, they're dehydrated, they've been through a lot. So I'm going to definitely take my time with this plant because I don't want to take a chance of losing it. I'm going to do everything that I can to ensure the success of this plant as much as possible. Okay, next up is a variegated dischidia. I did get a packing, email showing what plants they had selected for me. This is one of those plants that they chose for me, and so I know it is the Dischidia oantha. I've had one of these before. I really like this plant. I'm excited about it, and I expect that it's going to be in good shape because these tend to travel pretty well. Don't be alarmed by the falling leaves. That's to be expected. Like I said, they've been in a box for a while. They're dehydrated and like that, but this is a nice mature plant. Mine was juvenile, and so the leaves weren't nearly as big. Look at this plant. Absolutely beautiful. I love it already. And this is a prime example of why I say you don't know what you're working with until you check out the roots. Definitely going to put this plant in water or in leca to let some roots develop on this plant. There really isn't much of a root system. What little bit that was there probably came off in the sphagnum moss when I soaked it off, but definitely something here to work with. But the plant is absolutely beautiful. Here's a closer look after it's soaked for a few days. And so what I'm going to do is just go ahead. I'm going to put it in leca. It's the next best thing in my eyes to water. I've been working with leca for probably like 10 years. So I'm more comfortable with it than anything else. And here's how the plant looks. I have it over here on my plant shelf where it will get plenty of bright indirect light. And it's in leca, so it'll be working on those roots. I'll keep an eye on it for sure. Hopefully it won't lose any more leaves. But so far, it seems like it's going to be a pretty hardy plant. And next up is an Anthurium Silver Hope. I'm very excited about this plant. On the Greenspaces.id website, this plant sells for $40. I really couldn't find many of these looking around online, but the ones that I did find for about this size were running about $90 here in the States. And when you're comparing prices, if you're going to go over and look, make sure that when you go drill down in there that it's not, because they'll show you a picture of a whole plant for a price, and then you realize they're just selling a leaf. So if you want to go back and check my pricing or whatever, what things are available for here in the States, just make sure that you're comparing apples and apples, kind of thing, because I was almost messed up a few times. Look at this plant. This is beautiful. Again, this is the Anthurium Silver Hope. I don't have a lot of Anthurium. I love them. They intimidate me. But the ones I do have, I've had for quite some time, and they're doing okay. So I decided to ask for this one. This is one that I selected. It's got a couple of yellow leaves on here, no problem. But as you can see, she's looking pretty good in my book. This is a beautiful plant. Very beautiful. And let's take a look at those roots. Of course, we have to take another look at the plant first. This is really a beautiful plant. And the roots look pretty good. Yeah. Dehydrated, of course, I expect all of them to be dehydrated after traveling. So I always plan to soak these for several days before I pot them up. This one was no exception. I soaked this one for a couple of days, and it just was doing so well that I decided to go ahead and potted up in leca. So I will be growing this one in leca like I do all of my anthurium because I'm just not that comfortable with them. I'm still getting used to the whole anthurium thing. But this is a beautiful, beautiful plant. And again, it's over here. It's bright, indirect light, in leca. All should be right in the world. But I leave them where downstairs and everything so that I can keep an eye on these imported plants because everything can change in a day with these plants. If you've imported plants before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this way I can keep a close eye on it, and if anything seems to be taking a turn for the worse, I can take some action if there's anything that I can possibly do. So moving on, next we have a variegated Syngonium albo. Now this is a plant that Greenspaces picked for me. On their website, it sells for $7 for plants this size. These are pretty readily available here in the U.S. I could find them with no problem online, and they were going for about $20. So this would be another one of those plants. I wouldn't place an order for it, but I would definitely add it to an order. So let's see what the size is. Oh, this is nice. This is a beautiful plant. I don't know why I never think about syngoniums. I love the pink syngoniums when I see them. This one is absolutely beautiful. It's got many leaves. It looks nice and healthy. It seemed to travel pretty well. So, yes, look at all the variegation. Beautiful. I'm sorry. Anyway, this is a closer look at the plant. Look at that. Like a half and half going on that leaf. Absolutely gorgeous variegation. And here are the roots. Probably some of the better roots that I've gotten so far. But with all of these, I definitely am going to take measures to get the roots more developed as the plant acclimates for sure. And this one will be soaked as well for a few days before I do anything with it. But I'm thinking this one, after a couple of days, I'm going to pot this up in some leca. I think so. It's looking pretty good. So unless it takes a big turn overnight, that's what's going to happen. After being in water a couple of days, this plant looked really good. The roots really plumped up. So I went on and put it in some leca. And again, bright indirect sunlight. Look at this plant, my first syngonium. It is absolutely beautiful. Actually, I've had one before. So this is my second syngonium, but it's absolutely beautiful. I'm in love with this plant. I would have never chosen it for myself, but I'm so glad to have this plant. I love it. So far, all winners. Nothing, no dead plants, nothing looking like I might lose it. That's what you want for an import. You got to have realistic expectations and know that things can happen. Based on the size, I think I know what this is. Let's see. Yes. This is my variegated Monstera albo. I do have a variegated Monstera albo. It's small. I've had it for about a year now. It has nice variegation. It's starting to grow, but I'd love a big, beautiful Monstera albo. On the Greenspaces website, this plant goes for $93. Right now in the U.S., we are still paying about that price for a one-leaf cutting. So as you can see, yes, this is definitely more than a one-leaf cutting. And wow, it's big. It's a little bigger than I expected. I mean, and it's got some nice variegation on there. Look at that. And nice, mature, fenestrated leaves. So yeah, right now we're paying like $100 for a one-leaf cutting. And a lot of times those leaves aren't fenestrated, don't have much variegation. This one is big and beautiful. Look at that. Loving this plant. I do have another. I'm hoping to one day pot them up together and have a nice big Monstera albo like I'm seeing everyone else seems to have except me. And they're just so pretty. All right, last look at some variegation. The stem has some nice variegation, so that's very promising. Taking a look at the roots, we have some work to do here. It is a rooted aerial root, which is fine. I want to develop them more. So again, I'm going to soak this plant and I am going to probably pot it up in some leca. I don't know if that I want to keep it in leca. I would kind of like to go soil with this one because of the size. They get a little hard to keep them upright in leca, at least for me. And I'm putting it on a moss pole and all that. I like to do all that in soil. But as you can see, a nice, big, beautiful plant, $93 on Greenspaces.id. Beautiful. Because I'm so paranoid about this plant, yeah, I still have it over here in water with a Monstera deliciosa cutting that I am rooting. And I just want to keep an eye on things, make sure nothing starts to rot or anything like that, which these plants are notorious for. And I don't want to do anything to lose this plant. So right now, I'm not going to put it in leca. Maybe after a week or two, maybe. But for now, I'm just going to leave it in water. I'm going to keep an eye on it and work to develop a bigger root system. And that's about it. If you'd like to get some of these beautiful plants for yourself, follow the link in my description box to Greenspaces.id. Use code PEGGY20 for 20% off of your order. Importing plants is definitely not for the faint of heart, but you definitely want to go with a reputable company such as Greenspaces, who has been in business for a number of years. They offer several different methods of shipping, and they ship to various countries. So go on over, check them out. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I appreciate you. Take care, stay well. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.